Good morning, YouTubers, Rumble, Facebook. This is Fat Cat production of News with a View, hosted by me, Johnny Costa. This is July 12th, episode 102. Kind of a busy day here with news, but not really. It's still a lot of nonsense stuff, but not nonsense stuff to people that are affected by it. Yesterday, I did not do a show. I was I was busy helping facilitate things for family members that had to have been done, and I only had a window to do it in. By the time I was done, I was done. But today is Saturday. I just have one thing that I'm going to be going over. A judge orders Trump administration to halt indiscriminate immigration stops and arrests in California. Now, the immigration law and the Constitution kind of are not meshing as well as people would like it to. So, an immigration advocacy group had filed a lawsuit last week accusing President Trump's administration of systematically targeting brown-skinned people in Southern California during its ongoing immigration crackdown. The plaintiffs included 3 detained immigrants and 2 U.S. citizens, one of whom was held despite showing information contrary to what he was being stopped for. So they asked the judge to halt unconstitutional tactics in immigration raids. Dealing with, based on race, carrying out warrantless arrests, denying detainees access to legal counsels at holding facilities in downtown LA. And the judge is Meme E. Frimpong, who issued a separate order barring the federal government from restricting attorneys' access to Los Angeles immigration detention facilities. Now, these are temporary orders and measures while the lawsuit moves on. So the argument really is, again, something that I advocate. Your 4th and 5th Amendment rights. The problem with this is that ICE does not need to provide a lawyer. They are not required to. So it is a federal policing agency whose job it is to look for immigration violations. Stopping them from doing their job saying almost like you can't stop these people just based on their race or color. You're not. I'm stopping them on their immigration. The argument then comes down to, if you were to do this in Alabama and stopped every white person and asked them for their immigration status. If you would stop every person in California, and this is where this took place, white person, are you doing that to every Chinese person? Are you doing that to every person that you see with blonde hair and blue eyes? The answer will probably be no. So you are, in essence, looking at one group of people over another group of people who could be in violation of the same law you are. You could call that unreasonable. But how do you, okay, we're going to stop. What would the court say would be reasonable? Now, the judge might say, oh, no stopping at all. You can't stop people. Well, if I don't know who they are and they're in violation of our immigration laws, how do I facilitate the law? How am I allowed to move forward on this law? If I know that all the migrant workers on this farm or have Latin, Spanish, Mexican, whatever surnames, is that racist? If they're the only people on the list, if there was, Hans Gruber on there, or Miguel Schmitzelmeyer, and they turned around and said, well, we don't have to look at those two people, we're only interested in these people, then I can understand it being discriminatory. But if you went in there and everyone fits your profile, and you ask them, what is your immigration? Show me your visa. Do you have a green card? Do you have a work permit with a visa? And if they don't have it, and they go, I left it, at home. Supposed to have it on you at all times. Your green card. You're supposed to have that on you at all times because you're a naturalized citizen, but you have to have the green card with you. So, but they're saying that there were cases where they held people that were citizens, took them in, but it could have been under the circumstances that I said too. Well, they couldn't prove it to us at the time of us making this stop and examination. And the judge would say, no, it's not a stop, you're detaining them. So you can look at this and go, there's stuff there that they could hang on. But if I'm investigating, if I'm the police and I'm investigating the Crips, why would you say that that's discriminating because I didn't investigate the Lions Club or the Sons of America or the Sons of Italy? Or, so that would be the argument that, yeah, because I'm not looking for them. I'm looking for what's going on here. And I know from past experience that these people work in the field. I know from past experience that day laborers go to uh, uh, hang out in front of Home Depot and Lowe's looking for work. Now, there could be citizens out there looking for work. And they walk up to me, I'm standing out there, and they go, "Well, what are you doing here?" "I'm looking for work." "Well, show me your identification." "All right." Now, I don't know why they would ask me for identification because I'm just looking for work. Am I breaking any law here? "Well, you're on their property." Are they complaining that I'm on property? Are they complaining that that person over there is on their property, walking in with a cart? So your stop is what? Well, we want to prove who you are. Why? Because we're looking for illegal immigrants, and you're in a known area. So are they. So you could see where this could be a problem under the Constitution and where it could collide. And I'm not for them being able, ICE being able to be hampered. It just goes to show how honestly the prior administrations truly gamed the system. We'll get them in, and it will be almost impossible for you to get them out. We will make it so difficult that it can't be applied. And on the same token, that same administration go, "No, we have a immigration policy and we follow it." If they get pulled over for a traffic violation, well, and they can't prove it. That's a good that can happen. But we tell the police that you don't arrest them for that. We're not going to enforce that. We're not going to send an ICE agent out for that. Now you are sending ICE agents out, and you're sending them out in force, and they just got $45 billion to do more. But if they can't do what they're supposed to do, there's a problem. There's a problem. And I think you have to get past the color, the language, to this makes sense. If these people are here illegally, can't I ask? Or how about better? How about better than that? A national ID program. National ID program. Now, as of today, children born here are considered United States citizens. So everyone under the age of 18 gets an ID card. It's part of your birth certificate. But in there, boom, here's my card. People over 18 have to prove their citizenship to have a little American eagle on it. But if you're not a citizen, you don't have that American eagle on it, but you have an ID card. Now, you could scream and yell, well, that they'll arrest you because you don't have your papers with you. Well, you could do it do it during an amnesty. And then have them apply right then and there. Now you have an ID, you have their driver's license, you have some pedigreed information on them, and you say you came here, we asked you, have you been in trouble with the law? Oh, well, I got a ticket, I got this, all right, we're not going to, that's an infraction, you handle that, you paid you're good with the house. Boom, 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 boom. They have a computer there. All right. August 23rd, 2026. You must call into the center. This is your ID number. I'm going to make you a little card up here. We'll make you 2 cards. And you must call in, and then we set a date for you. But you must call in by this date. You could start calling in 3 weeks after this to see if a date appears. We get you in. And if you have a problem making that date, if this, now you've moved to Minnesota and this is Arizona, there'll be a menu on there that you can go to and rearrange for where you are, but you can only do that once. After that, you must report to the center, and if you're saying you're in Arizona now or Minnesota, you must report to the center and refile in person before this date, so we could rejuggle your appointment. But by doing so, you're letting us know. We might ask you, has anything changed since the last time? Were you arrested for robbery? And we do a criminal check on you. At that point, you're in the system. And you have that card, and you are semi-documented. It's a start. Then when you get pulled over or stopped, and it has a little barcode on it, zzz, zzz. One, you have a good day. If you haven't set your date yet, call, because it says it expires on this date. So don't forget that, very important. Do you need the number again? And all the agents have that number. and maybe cards that they carry with here. Remember, call this card, give them that number here, and they'll get you set up. Because if you don't do it and we stop you and you expired without a reason, we got to put you in the detention center. We don't want to do that. So there are ways to do this that make it enforceable. There is a method to do this. I will guarantee you that the Democrats would complain about it and go, nope, can't do it. That's nope, 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 nope. And I guarantee you, if this was a Democrats' idea, the Republicans would be go, nope, 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 nope. This can't do it. Then you need an executive order. And then Congress has not done their job. And when I say Democrats and when I say Republicans, I'm not saying the rank and file. I'm talking about our elected officials sitting in the federal government. Because immigration is a federal law, not a state. State can not have a freaking say in it. And yet they are. Because they say, well, because it's a federal law, the U.S. Constitution, through a federal court. And if you're violating any of these fine amendments, well, they get to say something about it. But going to where criminal activity takes place and saying, oh, you can't go there. Well, what do you mean I can't go there? So now the police can't go to a bar to look for someone. They can't park outside and look for someone. They can't stop a suspect. Because that's what these people are. They're suspect. Now, you're taking a wide swath. And the reason you don't know is because we don't know who's here. So we have to ask. And now you're back. You just hit a corner again. Now you got to turn. Then you hit another corner. Then you got to turn. And then you hit another corner. And then you're right back where you started from. Very clever. Very clever, Democrats, but it will come undone. And when it comes undone, then we're going to hear you screaming and yelling, and there'll be a lot of problem. And, I mean, the White House went and said, you know, no federal judge has the authority to dictate immigration policy. And that rests with the president and the Congress. You know, they said enforcement operations require careful planning and execution skills far beyond the preview of the jurisdiction of any judge. This is an overstep, and we are going to have it corrected on appeal. Now, I don't say that it's an overreach. Because the federal judges are there to say, hey, that's a violation. You know, and you could have a law and the judges go, well, that law is unconstitutional. You can't do that because it violates this, and this. And remember what I said, you can't go contrary to this. Even if it's a law, turn around and go, yeah, you guys messed up. You didn't take this into account. And then it goes all the way up to the robes. When I say robes, I say the Supreme Court, the United States. So, uh, there is a lot. There is a lot of truth to what the plaintiffs presented, and part of it is, as of right now, if you're going to be charged or whatever, you have to have an attorney now. But ICE is not required to get you an attorney. You can make a phone call to an attorney, and they have a list all up there. Call this number. But it might take 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And in the meantime, they move you from that location to another location, and now your lawyer can't represent you. You go somewhere else, and that whole process might start again. So there are problems. There are logistical problems with trying to make it work. ICE can turn around, and the federal government can turn around too and go, yeah, no, they've got a lawyer. What are you talking about? Well, their client now is in Texas or Alligator Alcatraz. And this happened here. Now, under normal circumstances, I would say take him from Alligator Alcatraz and get him back to, San Diego or San Francisco or Ventura County or whatever. So he could then have representation through his attorney. Or you have an attorney, your attorney is then logged with the courts as your attorney. And at that point, you still stay in detention because you're here illegally, but you can't be moved. Not without going to the courts and applying to the courts, notifying the defendant and notifying his attorney. Unless the Supreme Court says if you're here illegally, you only have the right to an attorney. You can't be held indefinitely in a jail. You're a predetermined amount for illegals. Now you have the problem of, well, I was here on a temporary status. That's now gone, and now I'm considered undocumented. You think that's right? I don't think that's right. I don't think being lured here, and they were lured here, just to have those rights pulled out from underneath them, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. You can make the argument that they should never have been here to start. Well, that's fine. It's like, telling someone you're a little pregnant. It's done. And it needs to be addressed. And we really can't go forward too much with our ideas and goals for immigration unless we can have scripts that work and just can't be challenged every step of the way by every person. Because that is judicial chaos. So, the Latino communities across Southern California have been on the edge for weeks. Because of ICE stepped up the arrests at car washes, Home Depot parking lots, immigration courts, and a range of businesses. Tens of thousands of people have participated in rallies over the region because of the deployment of the National Guards and the Marines. Well, I don't know if it's been tens of thousands, but lawyers say that that they are denied access. Now, and that's a serious thing. That is a serious thing. Everyone, if you're going to say that they have rights, is afforded an attorney. So, lawyer Mark Rosenbaum said in one incident on June 7th, attorneys attempting to shout out basic rights at a bus of people detained by immigration agents in downtown LA when the government drivers honked their horns to drown them out and chemical munitions akin to tear gas were deployed. Those lawyers were impeding the buses. They were standing in front of the buses. They weren't shouting out to the bus. They were doing it in front of the buses and blocking the path of federal agents doing their duty. Yeah, you got tear gas. Shouting out to their basic rights had nothing to do with their representation of anyone. Anyone can shout out their rights. You can do it. You don't have to be a lawyer. But you can't interfere with the police. You can't do it. And Rosenbaum said lawyers were denied access even on days without any demonstrations nearby. And the people detained are also not given significant access to phones or informed that lawyers were available to them. Said the facility lacks adequate food and beds, which he called coercive, to get people to sign papers to agree to leave the country before consulting an attorney. Well, yeah. Because I don't think these people are being Mirandaized, and as such, they don't, Because I'll only Mirandaize a person when I'm going to charge them with a crime. And we haven't charged them yet, so I don't have to. And I could tell you, hey, if you sign this paper, we're not going to charge you. You go back. You're illegal. You go back. And they go, no, I don't want to sign it. All right. Then I'm going to give you your rights, whatever rights that you're entitled to. And you need to get an attorney. Do you still want to talk with me? That's it. They don't have to tell them what their Fifth Amendment right is or Fourth Amendment right is. They don't have to tell them anything. Yeah, okay. Um, so now let's get back to you. Sign this paper and you could leave. And we'll get you to a phone. You could call your family. Boom, boom, but you're going. You agreed to go. Legally, there's nothing wrong with that. So, so in all, what the lawyers are saying is that the actual, once they're grabbed and the process, that's all legal. Their gripe is step one, they got grabbed. I'm saying illegals, or and this that's their problem. The problem isn't the detention centers because they're all eating. There, no one's it's fine. Those guys don't talk to one another and say, "Man, you got to get an attorney." And they might say, "Hey, we got two phones in here, and there's 800 people wait online." Now that might be a problem. Maybe you need to bring in 30 more lines, have people there and go, make your call. Make your call. Here's a piece of paper. Here's a pen. You write it in Spanish, you write it in English, we'll figure it out. Your attorney's name, today's date, and we'll put that into your system for you. You get pulled up, this is your attorney's name. Boom. This is your attorney's phone number. Boom. This is your number. Boom. And when he comes here and he calls us and we go, hey, you can come tomorrow, Wednesday, what's a good time for you? We have 50 interview booths open, and we tell the lawyers you have a half hour with each person. So in the course of a 10-hour day, everyone in here should be able to have their lawyer. And it could be done. And it could be done pretty easily. So, I know that they want them out of there, and I know that they say they use coercion. That police are allowed to use coercion, just so you know. The police can lie to you every step of the way. What they can't do is take away your rights, but you must request your rights. So, all right. This has been, I'm going to speak for about 40 minutes. It's going to be a quick show because there's really not much going on. But this is the first step. And again, the 27th will be the big one. The 27th will be the big day. So, with that, I'm going to say good night. Give to a charity if you can. I understand charity does begin at home. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, give to a food bank. Anything you can give would be helpful. But not just food, they need paper products, they need napkins, they need feminine supplies, they need baby supplies, bottles, diapers, whatever you can get. And I always say, if you see something buy one, get one free. If you're going to personally use it, if it's a big can of SpaghettiOs, and you get one for free. Grab it. If they, two apple sauces, get one, buy one. Buy one, get one free, and then give the free ones to the church or food bank, wherever you want to go with it. So, all right, say a prayer. Prayer does work, and I'll catch you later. I might do a show tonight. Not sure. Might do a longer one if I see something crop up in the news. If not, Sunday, I'm going to do a slow show. And trying to do one almost every day of the week. All right. With that, I'm going to say goodbye as I fade to